Of innocence, and this is our second in this particular operation. And we often talk about child pornography, and quite frankly, I say, we're arresting these people for child pornography, and that's what we're going to talk about today. However, it's very, very important for you to understand what child pornography really is, and I'm not so sure that we say that often enough. Certainly there are people that think child pornography is quote-unquote kiddie porn, that it's 16 or 17-year-old girls who make themselves look a lot younger, but they're really mature, and that's not it at all. When we talk about child pornography and those that we've arrested today, they're either dealing in or possessing or trading or a combination of all of those things of pornography, child pornography, of children being raped, of babies as young as diapers being raped by adult males. This is the most horrific conduct you can ever understand in your entire life. These people have this. Now, obviously, we received information, and that's why we investigated them. But just as important to understand is we're also looking for the victims of child pornography. We did not find any of that in this particular operation. But when you think about the horrible acts that they're doing to innocent, not only children, but babies, it makes your blood boil. And when you think about these folks, you go, well, what kind of people are they really? Well, I've got a lot of adjectives for them, but let me tell you that some of them appear to be, just normal people in life until you know that they're not normal at all. How about Edward Zabarski? He's 48 years old. He claims to be a professional bartender, and he's currently working at the Cheers bar in Kissimmee. He had 64 counts of child pornography so far. Now understand that we are still investigating their different phones or apps or computers, and there could be add-on charges at a later date. But when he's not tending bar, he's looking at child porn. And then there's Bruce Noper. He's 51. He told our detectives that he has been viewing child pornography since the late 1980s. Did you hear me? The late 1980s. He's employed as a laborer at Top Hat Cleaners, and his favorite child porn was children between 4 and 6 years of age. We have him charged with 12 counts. And you might say, why only 12 counts if in fact he's been at this since the 1980s? Well, I must tell you, weeks before we arrived at his residence, his girlfriend discovered that he was looking at child porn. She totally destroyed the computer, totally destroyed the hard drive. And I mean, poured acid on it, beat it with hammers, just absolutely tore it up. He is reported to have said that he could have had thousands of images of child porn, but for his girlfriend, who was absolutely shocked by that conduct and trashed his computer. Now here's Matthew Sense. He's 35 years old. He is already a registered sex offender. That's right, a convicted felon. He was sentenced in Illinois for 3 years, or 3 years in the state prison system, for possessing child pornography. Obviously, it didn't work so well. He's now charged with another 100 counts. Oh, in addition to his 3 years, Illinois made him do 200 hours of community service. I wonder if he did that in public parks or, working on computers or something. I mean, because whatever it was, it didn't slow down his interest in child pornography. So he's back in the county jail now after having served 3 years in an Illinois prison. So I guess he'll try the Florida prisons for a while. Well, that's not the only registered sex offender. Now we have Richard Cousins. He's 64 years of age. He's also a registered sex offender and convicted felon. He likes children between 8 and 10 years of age. Now that's right. When people keep their child pornography or their sexual deviant child pornography, they all have a preference. Little boys, little girls, different age groups, and he happened to like 8 to 10-year-olds. He's charged with 143 different counts of child porn. But let me take you back to when he lived in the state of Maine. In 1992, he sexually abused 2 children. 2 children. Now, he sexually abused 2 children who were between the ages of 7 and 12 at the time, and the great state of Maine gave him a total of 4 years in prison and suspended 3 of the 4 years. That's right. He did 1 year for sexually abusing 2 children. Way to go, Maine. When we arrived, he was actively downloading child porn. He had 4 different computers operating at the same time. If you want to see a poster child of a child predator, of a child pornographer, of a felon, of a very dangerous person, there he is. I find it terribly interesting that prior to his arrest the other day, there are people in the United States that think we ought to give him his rights back to vote. Don't you want him selecting leaders for our cities, our counties, our state, and the nation? 143 counts of child porn. And then there's Ricky Vargas Garcia. He's 30. What does he do for a living? He's a Lego builder for Merlin Entertainment. He does not work at the park. He works at an off-site location building Legos. He admitted that he views and he trades child pornography. We're really worried about this guy. He says that he chats online with children. He apparently has talked an 11-year-old little girl into sharing nude photos, or either he shared a nude photo of himself with an 11-year-old child. We know that he prefers children 3 to 5 years of age with his child pornography. We've got him charged with 10 counts, but when he's actively going into chat rooms, talking to children, it's just a matter of time until he batters a child, if in fact he hasn't battered a child already and we're just unaware of it. And then there's Roger Caddy. He's 53. It's reported to us by him that he makes a 6-figure salary. He's been employed 22 years by Disney. He's a costume manager for Disney. His children of preference are as young as 3 years of age, and he had 24 counts of child pornography. And he's confessed to being in possession of that child pornography. Then there's Donald Merrick. Donald Merrick is 69. What's interesting about Donald is he taught school for 30 years in Maricopa County in Arizona. We've charged him with 16 counts of child porn. And he said he retired here because he loves Disney World and he goes to the theme park 2 or 3 days a week. When he's not at the theme park, he's home with child pornography. And he taught in the school systems for 30 years. Be interesting to know what kind of conduct he might have had in Arizona. Our last one is Don Carrier. Don's 84 years old. He's a retired mechanical engineer. He says that he is a member of the Mensa Society. He said that he one time had a top secret clearance with the military for some projects that he was working on. He confessed. He only looked at child porn when his wife was away from the house. He was downloading child porn when we arrived at his residence. He liked to view children as young as 3 years of age, and we charged him with 200 different counts of child pornography. So there you go. Retired school teacher, retired mechanical engineer, bartender, 22-year employee at Disney, a Lego builder for Merlin Entertainment, all child pornographers, dangerous people. There's some research that tells us that 80% of those who are engaged in collecting and viewing child pornography would or have, given the opportunity, engaged children in sexual conduct. So here's a warning to the parents. The warning is simply this: you're the first line of defense. You've got to help us.
You've now tuned in to Resist the Illusion Network, broadcasting live from an experimental FEMA camp in an undisclosed location. Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen: Polk County Sheriff Department busts Disney World child porn ring. You see, it goes much more deeper than just these 11 men that were caught for multiple accounts of possession of child pornography, trading of child pornography, and also selling and making child pornography. Many of them were just seen to have possession of the child pornography, but there was also a few out of the 11 that were known to be trading and also selling the child pornography. Together, these 11 men have a combined 660 felony charges. You have got to love the numbers there, ladies and gentlemen. An interesting thing here, folks, is among the 11 who were caught, one was a Walt Disney World employee. Another one was a Lego builder for Legoland, which was the youngest out of the 11 perps. And also another was a teacher for a great amount of time. And then there was another that was a Boy Scout leader. One thing to understand, ladies and gentlemen, is what the, how should I say this, what child pornography truly is. It's not as much as just little children as many would think it would be, like 12, 13-year-old children, 10-year-old children that are, dressed up how or whatever, they try to make them mature. That it goes much more deeper than that, ladies and gentlemen. The youngest, well, commonly, not the youngest, but commonly the victims here in these porn videos were commonly around 3 to 5 years old. I'm going to say that again. They were commonly 3 to 5 years old. Oh, but it gets far more worse than that, ladies and gentlemen. Grooming tactics were utilized by one of the... Grooming tactics were utilized by one of the criminals here. And how it's done, it's done on social networking, folks. There's a list of that the sheriff displayed that they have added to, that have grown the list of, where predators, where pedophiles go on to find their next quote unquote victim. But yet the thing is, ladies and gentlemen, is any social network you could think of, any application you could think of that is accessible through via smartphone, a tablet, computer, what have you, best believe that there's pedophiles on that platform. Now let me say that again, is any network you could think of, any social networking platform, it has pedophiles on it. And so the important thing here, ladies and gentlemen, is more charges are pending due to the evidence that's being discovered. Much of the evidence was destroyed, just as one of the criminals, his girlfriend, walked in on him observing and watching and consuming child porn, as it were, and out of frustration she destroyed the evidence. which the evidence alone, the destroyed evidence, could have had over thousands and thousands of counts of child pornography. You see, later on in this press conference, there's claims by the reporters that some of the suspects were just watching the porn and not committing the acts of it. Or some of them claim they have accidentally received the files, but yet they weren't actively searching for it. Let me tell you something here, ladies and gentlemen. What we have, aside from being cowards and sick-minded individuals, there is pictures. Let me say this clear. There's pictures of some children which were babies, infants that were as young as 12 months old and commonly 24 months old. 12 months old to commonly 24 months old. Now, here's another thing that's been circulating the news for the past 6 to 7 years, but it's been around for far longer than that. The concept of these sex bots, sex robots, they're no longer an idea of the past of we're only going to be able to reach in the future, but they have been here for quite a while, ladies and gentlemen. You see, there's one company that promotes childlike sex bots. And these sex bots are known as pedobots on the market, and they're made to prevent pedophiles from raping children. Therefore, instead of them going out and actually chasing down their next victim, which is children, they resort to going home to the pedobot. And I'm going to say that one more time. Instead of these people, these pedophiles, going after their next victim, they resort to going back to their place, going back to their home, and exercising and perfecting the criminal act of having sex with the pedobot. You see, one thing that many of these companies and many people do not like to acknowledge is that by doing this and promoting these pedo bots, these sex toys for pedophiles, it's not releasing the tendency of wanting to sin, but yet it's quite the contrary, and it's the opposite. In fact, it increases the desire to sin, ladies and gentlemen. In this case, they are practicing and also teaching these people, these pedophiles, to perfect in the behavior of raping children. Not only just the behavior, but the act, ladies and gentlemen. So don't get confused when you start to discover the aspect of lust, because lust is never satisfied, lust is never fulfilled. People who entertain pornography and are in a relationship or a marriage, see, they will eventually get bored. They will eventually get consumed by the lust that comes with entertaining that sexual desire. And so therefore, those who are in a relationship, those who have a significant other, will eventually get bored with their partner and go out and seeking a true interaction, and they will be consumed by the perversion of pornography itself. And that's the same case here, ladies and gentlemen, is these people that are prescribed. They're not just given, they're not just buying, but they're prescribed. And you understand where prescriptions come from, and you understand who funds the prescriptions. I'll let you run with that imagination on yourself. But yet these people that are prescribed, these pedo bots, these sex toys, these sex slaves, these sex robots, you see, they're eventually going to get bored with the proposed ethnic background of the pedo bot, and they're going to go out and look for another subject. In other words, they're going to go out and look for an actual human being, in this case being a child. But ladies and gentlemen, it gets far worse than what was discovered out there. It gets far worse than the little stories we've been hearing about on the internet. It gets far worse than just seeing the subtle sex rings popping up. And the sad thing is what's going on in Arizona right now. It gets far worse than that, because that is one of many. I'm going to say this again. That is one of many, many camps that are utilized for child sex rings, for child trafficking, ladies and gentlemen. That's why when you have something as reported, as much evidence that was shown out there in Tucson, Arizona, where there was trees with bands around them and wrist ties at a specific height, at a specific width, and if it was too high up in the air, if they were done criminalizing and victimizing an adult and they needed to put a child there, there was chairs and stumps and whatever else was there, right? There's things like that for a reason. The media is putting a complete blackout on it for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason is because we think it's the year 2018. We think that we're waking up, but in all actuality and reality, you don't really know what year it is, and above all, you don't know what you're waking up to, ladies and gentlemen. It goes far beyond than the pyramid and the eye on the back of the dollar bill. It goes far beyond than subtle 666 imageries. It goes far beyond than the onslaught and push of virtual reality and augmented reality, ladies and gentlemen. It's put out there in the TV shows for a reason. It's put out there in the music videos for a reason. It's put out there in the movies for a reason. You see, many people think that their children are safe by keeping them and trying to just reach them, although they're being sent to these public schools. And just as the sheriff said, there was one individual, one criminal out of those 11 suspects that was a teacher for how many years now? There was one of them that was a Boy Scout leader for how many years now? There was one of them that was granted military access for how many years now? The sick person, the you-know-what, used the excuse that he only observed child pornography when his wife was away from home. Now, you see, again, these are the people that got caught. There's one individual that was caught within this bus, this exposing that he was practicing and exercising this pedophilia since 1983, I believe, and he only had 12 counts, 12 cases. One of them was a convicted felon and let loose to commit another crime, just like Hillary, just like the Hillary bot, let loose and running free, scot-free, ladies and gentlemen, to commit another crime, to victimize more people, to subdue more people. And that's the thing that's going on here, is we could sit by and want to fall under this aspect of political correctness and not offend people, but it always goes back to the source of the problem, ladies and gentlemen. It always goes back to the root of the issue. It's either going to stand for good or evil, and if you want to sit by and just sit by quietly and continue to get taxed, continue to pay, consume, and die, then get out of my way and go back to CNN, go back to NBC, go back to the mainstream media and all the everything that comes from the swamp itself. Because I'm going to do everything that I can to move those that are not contributing to a movement, and not just as much as the truth community, but the movement that clearly defines that we're trying to protect our future, our legacy, and that just happens to be the children. And those who might not want to acknowledge God or Jesus Christ as the Lord and Savior or whatever, and they want to just call it religion and control, you got to understand this. You're going to stand with one or the other. You're either going to stand with the Luciferians that promote abortions, that promote the whisking off and the selling of these fetus body parts, that promote transgenderism, that promote transhumanism. They promote all this filth. They promote GMOs, chemtrails in the skies. They promote poison in the vaccines. They promote mandatory vaccines. They promote mandatory indoctrinations within the schools. Or are you going to stand with the side that promotes life? You're going to stand with the side that not just promotes liberty. Somebody needs to go really research what liberty really means. Hello, somebody. But promotes freedom, promotes free will, promotes free choice. And I'm not talking about free choice when it comes to aborting a fetus. I'm talking about free choice to do what you need to do, free to protect yourself, free to protect your family, free to protect your future. And you have to make a decision, folks, is what side are you going to stand with? Because, again, as I said, we could stand by and continue to go back to going to the movie theaters every payday, every weekend, taking our family and our kids out every payday, every weekend, going and working hard throughout the entire week and going to the weekend to go party and live it up and live it fat, and continue to contribute to the problem by doing absolutely nothing to spread awareness. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you might as well just go grab your ankles, shelter in place, and just wait for the deep state to penetrate, ladies and gentlemen. Is anybody hearing me out there? You see, there's a reason why we have an organization such as CERN, why they have the technology they do. There's a reason why we have these computers that are collecting massive data on everybody. It's mass perversion, folks. They removed the Bible from schools. They removed prayer from schools for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. They frown on other people that desire to chase the gospel, that desire to chase freedom and life for a reason. So again, it all boils down to, what are you going to stand for? Because as sickening as this is and as frustrating as it is, if the very select few in the channels that don't talk about this that are talking about it right now, and they don't talk about this because it's an iffy subject, because it's very offensive, because it's very hard for certain ears to be listening to it, and they just stop, or the censorship just goes into full third, fourth gear and we get completely censored. What are you going to be left with? You're going to be left with the controlled narrative. You're going to be left with mind control, manipulation, propaganda, programming on television, and you're not going to be there to make a free choice. You're going to be there with quote unquote liberty, ladies and gentlemen. So this right here is not as much as the beginning, but I see to it, it's another step closer to victory. It's another step closer to exposing what's going on, because we need more sheriffs just like this man right here that was really leading the investigation, that was really leading the sting operation. And we need to not have sheriffs or commander-in-chiefs or police officers or commissioners like the ones that allow things to happen, like what happened over in Parkland, Florida, like security guards that just wait out when quote-unquote shootings is going on and they just stand there like a coward. We don't need people that were right there like at the Boston bombings, just continuing to the narrative and accepting a fat paycheck because they kept their mouths shut. We don't need people that just stood by as something as like 9/11 happened, ladies and gentlemen, until we get the answers of why we're seeing a face like this and exploding buildings, and why we get an answer on what really happened that day. Don't expect any justice and don't expect any freedom, but just expect liberty within this paradigm, within this illusion. So it's very important to keep these talking points going, ladies and gentlemen. And you might not be a good talker out there today, but anybody could be a superhero, a local neighborhood hero today, simply by liking and sharing, continuing to throw subtle little facts out there, just keeping the conversation going by asking people, hey, did you hear that there was 11 people busted for a child pedo ring, a sex ring that was going on? And they might say no. They might say, what are you talking about? They might say, oh, that's disgusting. How could you talk about that now? Well, what do you expect to talk about? Fluff, fluff, and more fluff? Just like a cow grazing in the fields, just grazing away. Moo, cow, moo. That's all they expect you to do, ladies and gentlemen. So what are you going to do? Be a part of the problem? Or are you really going to stand up and say, you know what, we are mad as hell and not going to take this anymore? Because this is one thing you have to understand. These are just regular people, and they're regular until you want to start going against the narrative, until you want to start going against the stream of the river, the stream of the paradigm that has been handed to you. Not as much as the paradigm you've selected, the one that you've chosen, right? Like the career path, but it's been handed to you, it's been forced upon you since childhood, throughout the grade school, throughout the step-up programs, and everything that comes with society in itself. It's all there for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. It's just like researching topics within the rabbit hole. We have websites just such as Snopes for a reason. We have websites such as QAnon for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. We have somebody named Edward Snowden with the last name named Snowden to snow us in with information for a reason, ladies and gentlemen. So it's very important to do the research yourself, to not trust anything, not even trust what I'm giving out here right now today as you're hearing my voice. The main point here is to continue to talk about it, because if we don't talk about it, it's going to continue to go back on the back burner and eventually remove itself from mainstream media. There's a reason why there's a blackout on the situation that's going on in Tucson, Arizona, ladies and gentlemen. It's because who is connected to it. And until we get an answer for what was really going on in those emails that were leaked out, that were sent out, and until they stop pointing at the Russians, well, if the Russians did it, well, maybe we should go give them a thank you. Hello, somebody. Maybe we should start contributing to something over there, because apparently our government doesn't want to give us any answers, ladies and gentlemen. So you might have some friends or some family members that are liberals, extreme leftists out there, and really upset that Hillary didn't win the election, and upset that Roseanne's TV show got shut down. It goes far more deeper than that. You got to really ask them, well, did you even bother to look what's in the emails? Have you heard about something called Pizzagate, Pedogate? Have you heard of something called spirit cooking? There's a reason, folks, why it's all out there. But even furthermore, there's a reason why you have the evidence being burned away, being shredded. There's a reason why you have immunity being brought out there. There's a reason why the Hillary bot is still out free. It's because there's an enemy out there. There's an enemy out there that truly desires to go after your family, to go after your household, to go after your possessions, to go after your soul, ladies and gentlemen. What are you going to do about it?